It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name's Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Doing well,
Groovy.
thanks.
Chipper as always.
Hope everybody out there is doing okay. What's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Well, I had something. I really did, and my mind just went blank.
Was it taking memory loss pills? Or?
Oh, yeah, writing stuff down. That's what it was. It was
Yeah.
writing stuff
Oh,
down.
yeah.
I got distracted by the dancing puppy.
Haven't seen that video yet.
She posted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much still doing same-o. We're chugging through the Rings of Power. Last episode comes out Friday. Or the Wings of Power, as we stuffed it in my house.
Wow.
Yeah, other than that, no, that's about all I got. Yeah. I know here in a minute I'll go, but wait a minute, this one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I mean, there's just been so much on TV. Nothing really stood out because I've probably seen it all at least 50 times. You know? All the Halloween stuff we're working through.
Working through the same old Halloween stuff.
Yep. And I'm still, I don't know, Halloween 6 with the baby, that's just, I'm trying to like it, so I'm going to watch it again.
You don't have to like it.
You
It's
don't
okay.
have to like it.
No, I don't, but I'm a member of a horror group, and they're all like, oh, it was so good for this reason, and it's like, I didn't see that.
Oh, I would love to know what the reason is.
You're right. So maybe I need to go back and watch it again with that frame of mind. But I did. Yeah, I don't know. And then they're also talking about this new Hellraiser that's come out. I have not seen that yet. I've been waiting for it to come out because I enjoy the Hellraiser series. But some of the complaints, it's kind of like, did you read the book? Because some of this
The answer is no.
in the book.
People
Well,
can't
they're
read
upset.
anymore.
They're upset that this is a girl that's taken over the part of
Pinhead.
the main Pinhead, And it's like, well, the books never described him as a man. They kind of said he was androgynous in appearance, which is neither man or female. So I kind of took him more as like a being instead of a here's a man, here's a female kind of thing. So it was like, that's not going to bother me. So I probably won't have some of the problems that people do. But then it's kind of funny that people have totally wrote this off because it's a girl, So it's kind of like, okay,
Yeah, What else is new?
Right. Can she act? I mean, is that what's wrong with the movie? Are they redoing the same story? I mean,
It's a horror movie. I mean, what are you talking about acting?
Also, it's a remake.
It's a remake.
There's nothing interesting about the story. It's the same story. I mean, I say that I haven't seen it. I don't know for sure, but it's how uptight can you get? I mean, if you didn't want a Hellraiser remake, okay, fine. Say I didn't want a Hellraiser remake, and then shut up and go away.
Yeah, and don't watch it.
Right.
You
Leave
know.
it alone.
Yep. So it's just kind of like, wow. I think people have gotten too picky. Before we didn't care. Before there were certain things that we would overlook, but I guess as far as technology has come and everything else, we expect more. And someone once told me, I won't mention Mikey, that maybe I'm setting my expectations too high when I'm watching this kind of stuff. So I need to come off my horse, I guess. So, but
the deal is you and everybody else. That's the problem, is that everybody's built up this unreasonable expectation in their own heads, and it's not living up to that, or there's some little thing about it that they don't think it's the way it's not the way it is in their head, therefore it shouldn't be that way, and nobody should ever experience it. And yeah, I mean, it's all a function of people having too much information.
Yeah.
The deal is back when Hellraiser came out, we didn't know any better.
Mm-mm. We didn't know it could be better.
Right. We weren't trained to think that way. But now we've had to learn to filter our own information, and we're terrible at it, strangely enough, because we never had to learn that before.
Yeah. And that's Clive Barker, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would have dared anybody back in that day when Hellraiser came out to go to him and go, "Hey man, your fucking movie sucks." I mean, you didn't do that kind of thing. That wasn't a common thing. To where I think when, writers and directors and that kind of thing got that feedback, they were kind of like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what didn't you like about it?" To where nowadays it's kind of like, "Nah, cry me a river. Go away."
Because them and 10,000 other assholes on the internet are saying the same thing. So what?
Yep.
Okay, fine, bye.
So it's no longer constructive.
It was never constructive to start with either, but
Well,
it's not helpful. It serves no purpose other than somebody thinks they have a voice.
Right. So yeah, and like I said, I don't know. I won't, like I said, I won't get into Rings of Power. I think I'm figuring out now, it's not bad. It's just boring. And it's kind of sad that you can throw $1 billion at something and it's not exciting. So,
you're just trying to push my buttons tonight, aren't you?
I'm not trying to.
Not everything has to be exciting. See,
No.
This is the other thing that you've done by being a horror fan, is you've desensitized yourself.
I have.
So you don't recognize the subtleties anymore. I don't know. I'm generalizing a lot, but there are subtleties in that kind of story that are just very, very different from what you enjoy most, and that's okay too.
Well,
Other
even
people
if you take it out of the Tolkien world, which it's not too far of a stretch, but if you take it out of the Tolkien world, even the story that they're giving us now, I'll give you an example without spoiling anything. There are some key characters in this movie, or in this TV series, that they want you to root for. These are the good guys. They've put them in place. They've told you who they are, and they give you nothing. This character is so dull and boring. You give me nothing. But now, here we are, almost last episode of the season, and we finally see that character development that should have happened in the first couple of episodes. That is what would have drugged me into this battle, going, "Oh, not him," but you didn't show me that until it was too late. And now that you've showed it to me, it's kind of like, it means nothing because you've already drugged me down this hill. And you didn't tell me why.
Because they didn't tell the story the way you wanted them to.
No, but that's just the way a story goes, right?
Not necessarily.
They introduce your characters, they tell you why you like them, and you see the growth in that character. And
it's okay, Mikey. It's okay.
Like I said, some of the interactions are great. They really are. But they should have put this a little sooner in this series, because that would have made me care more about what they're going through now. But now you've already made me see what they've gone through, and now you're giving me that character development to where what just happened to him may have impacted, may have been more exciting, or may have impacted me more had I cared about where that person was going. You see what I'm saying, though? You got to tell me why I got to care about this person.
I do, and I also see what you're not saying, which is what the deal here is. What you're saying is, I don't like this as much as I thought I would.
Right.
What you're not saying is this fucking sucks, and nobody should ever watch it ever.
Right.
And I applaud you for that because you're saying it the way I think. Because you're saying it the way I think you should. But anyway.
and I do think people should watch this. I mean, the scenery is absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, I love any type of Middle Earth kind of scenery you're going to give me, and they nailed it. I mean, but you can only do so much if you don't have a story in between these breathtaking scenes that you're giving me. You know, you've got to have more substance to pull through. And I think where all of this has lacked is really in the story. And not to bag on two guys, but you took two guys who have no credits under their belts whatsoever, and you expected them to pull off this amazing story that was going to make Tolkien fans happy. So I think that's where the breakdown was.
I think you may be underestimating the shallowness of Tolkien fans at times, but
right.
Anyway, I think that the pretty is a much bigger factor in it for some people than it is for others.
Yeah.
And hey, great. If that was your takeaway from Tolkien and from Peter Jackson's movies and all the games that have come out of all of that stuff, then that's great. Good for you. Some people have different tastes, and that's good too.
Yeah. I don't know. I heard they're already making a mistake, though. They're moving season 2 from New Zealand to the UK. So we may not get that beautiful scenery that I was talking about.
Or it may all be CGI.
Right. And I don't know. Some of Peter Jackson's stuff, I am not downing the man. I absolutely love The Lord of the Rings. But some of those scenes, I guess now since I've watched so many behind-the-scene footages and how they put it together, you can kind of see what was put in and what was real, from the scenery there. Yeah. So far with Amazon, I have not been able to do that. I do a lot of editing in Photoshop, and I look for those kind of things. And so far, I have not seen a lot of that done. Well, I know that it's there.
I mean, you'd hope the tech would improve in 20 years.
Right.
So hopefully that's a lot of the deal, and that's fine too.
Definitely. Yep. And like I said, what Peter Jackson gave us was freaking mind-blowing because we had never seen anything like that at that time, And so this is Amazon's way of kind of flexing a little bit of, okay, now we've got a little bit more toys than what he had at his disposal. What can we do? And they finally showed us a bullrog or
Balrog.
Okay, I keep wanting to call it a bullfrog.
And we get Jeremiah back into this again. But anyway.
Better go around.
But I'm liking what they're doing with Durin and Elrond. I absolutely, if they stopped everything else that's going on in this show, that storyline, I would love it. I would absolutely love it. But then you throw in this other stuff, and it's kind of like, can we get back to Elrond? And jury's still out on the Harfoots. I don't know about them. I'm trying to like them. So far, they're just annoying little creatures, so.
Well,
But at one point, they were talking about a guy broke his foot, and they're like, well, if he falls behind, we're just going to leave him. And then this lady later on was like, we should just take their wheels. And it's like, you bitch. I mean, he's hobbling along on a broken foot, and you're wanting to take the wheels off his freaking wagon, So I'm not sure about the Harfoots yet.
Yeah, that sounds like just the standard petty bullshit you get from any group of people,
Yeah. And it does kind of make them, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of
realistic.
Yeah, kind of eclectic and unique, kind of,
Sure.
They definitely have their own little style.
It's giving them personality.
Yep. And they're
that's-
travelers, and you can't have people slow you down when you're trying to hit seasons. I understood that part.
Sure.
But the hobbits I know would have picked a weight up for them to get them all there.
By the way, guys, she wasn't going to talk about Rings of Power.
Right. I wasn't going to. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I danced around it. Like I said, I've tried not to give any spoilers because I know Mikey's still
Danced around
plugging
like a
through
mosh
on it.
pit.
Like a
But-
bull in a china shop.
But it's kind of, I don't know.
I'll get to it. It's just we're in the middle of watching a bunch of movies right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get through the last of these movies before I can start something else.
Yes.
So it'll be soon. I got
We'll
one
talk
more
about
movie
that.
to go. But
I didn't know if I was going to make it through this one, so. But we won't get into that. We'll go to
No,
the next guy.
We're not getting into that yet. I'm going to try real hard not to get into that at all. But anyway.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I didn't have.
About par for the course. Anyway. Oh, that's okay. It's cool. Sometimes you have to get started before you realize.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I did do this.
I'll let you know a little secret. There's a very famous book that was written that way. It was called The Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah?
When Tolkien started writing The Lord of the Rings, he had no idea what he was doing. His publisher had asked for a sequel to The Hobbit, and Tolkien had no idea what to do with that. And it took him 2 or 3 years to figure it out.
Wow.
Which is why,
When he figured it out, he put a lore behind it and backstories and,
Well, the lore was already there to some extent. He hadn't fitted it into it yet. He didn't know how the Hobbit fit into the lore he had built. He sort of had to backtrack and figure that out. There was actually, I probably have mentioned this before, there was the Hobbit was originally published in 1937. Before The Lord of the Rings, I think it was in 51 or 52, they published a revised edition of The Hobbit.
Huh.
Right before they published the first book of The Lord of the Rings. And it changed a few little details. It changed, to be honest, a little bit of how how Bilbo got the ring. And sort of how the ring fit into things.
See, I remember The Hobbit being like a little kid's book. Wait, am I wrong on that?
It was aimed for a younger audience, yeah.
And they did like a cartoon, and it was maybe 30 minutes long.
It's more like it's 70 or 80 minutes, but yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
So when I had heard that they were pulling a trilogy out of The Hobbit, it was kind of like, what?
Yeah, a lot of people thought that, and part of the deal is that the story of The Hobbit is in there, but it's not. But they went to other materials to get sort of the backstory of what was going on, sort of the stuff that Tolkien. Okay, so the deal is, if you ever hear Tolkien fans talk about the appendices, the deal is when The Lord of the Rings was finally the end of it was published. There were a set of appendices at the end of The Return of the King, which actually explained a bunch of backstory type stuff. A lot of the stuff that Jackson got for his Hobbit trilogy movies came from there, and he elaborated the hell out of some of it and exaggerated some stuff out of it.
Okay.
To make it into a much more epic story than it should have been, in my opinion. But yeah, see, and now you got me going on this.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Let's say that the original Little Hobbit story was a good little story. It
was. It was a story that had started out with him basically just making up stories to tell his kids at bedtime.
Yeah.
And it kind of evolved from that. Tolkien was an inveterate rewriter. And he also had a group of friends who were all accomplished writers and teachers of literature that he
Ah,
bounced his stuff off of a lot. They all bounced their stuff off of each other all the time.
that'd be cool. Kind of like we do.
Kind of, except they actually did something with their lives.
Right. Hey, I live it.
Uh-huh. So did they.
That's
But
pretty
they
cool.
also published things like Narnia and
Ah,
various other. I mean, yeah, there was a core group of like 4 guys, and C.S. Lewis was one of them.
I loved Lewis.
And they're all friends, and they all hung out at a local pub in Oxford, and yeah.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
And Tolkien was well known for taking the feedback from his friends and going back and completely rewriting the chapter.
I could see that being the perfectionist because maybe they pointed out one thing.
Right, and he would just start it over. He couldn't edit his own stuff, so he would just redo it. He
Huh.
would just throw it away and redo it.
See, I know with
Unfortunately, he was
ADD,
terrible at throwing it away, so we get stuff like the 14 books of the history of Middle-earth. But anyway,
I told the guys for Christmas I want the Book of Letters. That's what I want. And I've gotten Brandon into it, so he's going to look for it. Because he wants to read them too. I mean, and like I said, if nothing else, if everybody just totally shits on the Amazon series, at least people are talking about Tolkien's work again.
Yep.
And that's not a bad thing. And like Brandon, I could have sworn I made watch these movies. I can't tell you how many times. When he told me, a couple months ago, no, I've never seen those. What?
right?
Get
How
the
is
hell
that
out
possible?
of my house! But it's
A
kind of
loving
neat
mother.
because the questions he's asking and stuff. It's kind of like, wow. I don't know. Let me ask Mikey about that. 'Cause I do not know. When it's kind of like we were, watching all of this going on, and he was like, "Can orcs be good?" And I was like, "Well, I don't think so." I said, but I had heard that was kind of something Tolkien himself kind of grappled with. He wrote them to be evil, so but at the same time, could they be redeemed? I mean, if he was a Christian, we have to believe they can. So
Right. And he was Roman Catholic, so
yeah. So I could see him being in the I don't know.
yeah. The deal is he just kind of never addressed it.
Yeah.
That was kind of the easy way to deal with that, is just not going there.
Yeah.
Never got
And
around to it, or whatever. However it happened.
And I think that's where Amazon's been good, that they've gone into these things that he's never really said a definitive answer on. So it's kind of like, well, you can't be pissed about this because he didn't say one way or the other, So, and I think the orcs are falling into that right now. So it's, like I said, some of it's really neat, but some of it you're just kind of like, oh my God. Can we just kill them and get back to Elrond?
Ouch.
I mean, wouldn't they have died from the volcano? But yeah, so. But yeah, I like I said, I think everybody should at least give it a chance because.
You realize Hawaii is a volcano, right? People live there. They do fine. Right, Les?
So I've heard.
I should have given you my ex-engagement ring then to throw in.
To throw in the... Oh, man. I don't think I can top that. Okay.
Please try.
And quickly? Right.
Like, don't get her started again.
Yeah, I gotta get, because getting you started is getting me started, and that no good can come of that. Yeah, for me, this was a, I don't know. I'm looking back, and other than like weird stuff that I'm having to deal with that nobody wants to hear about because it's a little gruesome. I am still watching the rest of the movies. I've actually only got one more to go now. Next week's gonna be really
Yay.
interesting. But anyway, I'm not going there yet. This week's gonna be interesting enough. So, yeah,
Well, that's one word for it.
I didn't otherwise do much. I mean, I've just been kind of living the life that I've been handed, and stuff's going on, and I'm having to deal with things, and nobody cares, and that's good because they shouldn't, because they have their own things to deal with. But yeah, I mean, I haven't really had much time to do much else, so kind of boring.
Like O'Reilly, huh?
Laugh a minute, let me tell you.
Yeah, well, we care still, though.
Well, I'm not saying you don't care.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's not interesting.
Oh. Okay, next.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Do you have anything else, Mike?
Me, no, I'm good. Take it off.
I don't want you to get caught off by rudeness here.
Now, we agreed to never call her that to her face while we're actually recording the show.
Well, I apologize.
Oh, kidding.
Oh.
Go ahead, Les.
For me, I finished my reading for the season. Once again, I read my 2 books, The Halloween Tree and Something Wicked This Way Comes. Those are my traditional 2 books I read during this season. Still love the 2 books. So they are available. Usually you can find them at like a half-price books. That was my main thing this week, so that's it for me.
Yeah,
Cool.
in other words, read a book. It's good for you.
Make something of yourself.
Well, let's not get crazy here.
It's like work.
Mhm.
For me, not a whole heck of a lot of stuff. I actually found this out today. I've talked about before on Pluto that they have the Mission Impossible channel, that they've been running the first 3 seasons. Found out today, turn over there, they're showing season 5.
Ooh.
So now the Nimoy shows are on there, and now they're back to the first season. So if you give it a couple of days, then head over there, and you'll be able to check out the episodes that when Nimoy was part of the cast. And that was cool. It's kind of cool to watch some of those again.
Yeah.
Neat.
And of course, season 5 also had Sam Elliott off and on.
Oh, yeah.
So, the other thing kind of caught me. I thought this would be a cool idea. So, for reference, for future reference, today's date, October 11th, 2022. So, if someone ever comes up with this idea, I had it first. Okay. I was working on some podcast stuff, and
Excuse me.
I just was trying to find something to have on kind of as background noise and all that, and saw someone that was showing the original Night of the Living Dead. I was like, okay, put that on, and I'll watch ever so often what's going on and all that. But I went back to was working on research and all that, and we got to the scene where Ben was barricading the house, getting putting up wood, trying to block the doors and windows and all that. And he had found the radio and turned that on. Try to get some information on what's going on and all that. Well, I happened to be listening to that, not watching, while I was working on stuff, and it kind of dawned on me how creepy the news reports were. And I thought, as many times as this movie has been ripped off and remade and stuff like that, it would be really cool if someone does an audio drama of the movie, but basically it's from the perspective of the news reports on the radio or TV. Kind of like Orson Welles doing the War of the Worlds radio program back in, I think it was 38,
38.
Something like that. I'm like, that would be cool to listen to. That would be scary. All you're getting is just information of like, okay, here's people attacking other people. There's something wrong with them, like they're in a trance and all that, and all of a sudden they're actually dead people coming back to life, and they're eating other people. And and you have that of the broadcasters getting this to people, but dealing with what the fuck am I telling people right now?
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be interesting to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong?
No, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't think you're wrong.
I think that would really be really cool to listen to. And I'm surprised nobody has thought of that.
Yeah.
I guess with it being zombies and all that, yeah, well, it's got to be visual because you got to see them eat flesh and all that. But it's like, no,
It's no fun without being able to see rotting corpses walking around, I guess. But yeah, I mean, if you're actually going to weird somebody out, if you're actually going for, like you said, the creepy factor, leave it to the imagination to do that.
Exactly. That's where I was about to go. Let our minds kind of fill in the pictures. And as we know, we can come up with something 10 times worse than whatever is produced visually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love for someone to do it, but we'll see. If it ever happens, I'll definitely check it out.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's about it. Nothing special.
I'd like to see it happen too.
Also very fitting for the season.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God, it would be played daily. Well, I mean, if it's released as a podcast or something like that, then yeah, it's going to be played. It can be played 24/7, 365. So, but I think that's such a great idea. It could be something really scary. Yeah. But, all right. Before we get into this week's discussion, do want to mention that we have a Discord that y'all are more than welcome to come join. We post a lot of news items, fun stuff, memes, videos, have some discussions, have some fun stuff. We're about to have a movie night here coming up. Well, by the time this drops, we would have already had our movie night, but other fun activities to be going on. So sign up for Discord's free. The app is free. It's in the App Store. We have an open invitation on our website, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. And so come join us today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty. We are continuing Horror Month, and this year we are looking at Scarecrow films. So for today's show, we are talking about the 2002 film Scarecrow. Fittingly enough. Yes. This is a story about a young man named Lester who teased and abused and all that by his fellow classmates, has an alcoholic mother, lives in a trailer park, and mom has a boyfriend who's an asshole. Let's face it. The writers just basically put up every cliche on the wall and threw darts, and there was the script.
They didn't even throw darts. They were like, how can we include every cliche we just gave up?
Put them all in.
And so Lester, unfortunately, is accidentally killed by boyfriend, and his soul essentially enters as Scarecrow, who happens to be nearby, and gets his revenge. That's essentially the story of the movie.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about this great film.
Must we?
Okay, this was one of those I have never seen before.
You are welcome.
So I'm gonna start off with the best thing about this film.
It ended?
Is I never have to see it again. I did it once and that's it.
I don't know, but you might like it if you watched it again, Liz.
Oh no.
Just watch it for Richard Elfman.
Just the first 5 minutes shows you how horrible this movie's going to be, and it just gets worse from there. We're talking acting, the film quality, the everything.
The special effects. Don't forget the special effects.
Shot driving down the street, which they used more than once in that movie. Same footage. It's just like, oh my God. And the worst part, the way the Scarecrow talked. It was like, this is a cross between Batman Scarecrow and the freaking Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz. You expected him to dance, bust out and dance, and he does.
That is an interesting way of looking at it. That is not the way I was looking at it. That's not the way I heard his voice, but I basically just heard him as a really, 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 really bad ripoff of Freddy Krueger. But
yeah,
anyway,
you nailed it. That's what it was. Like Freddy Krueger, if he sucked a bunch of helium and then went after you.
Oh, there was some sucking going on in this movie. I'm just saying.
Big time. Matter of fact, I think one of the guys died. Oh man, yeah, it was pretty bad, and I yeah.
The story that was told at the first got me laughing so hard. Here's the guy, and his car has trouble, and the smoke is billowing out, and I was thinking, if you wouldn't drive into a smoke pot, you might be able to get something done. But that's all that was.
Right. Looking out the window, you're done.
It was not a good movie. I'll understand, and you know me, I love bad movies, but this one was beyond my control.
Yeah.
There was nothing in here that was redeemable.
This was bad for all the wrong reasons.
Quick question, Les. Was this movie worse than last week's movie?
Worth what again?
Was this movie worse than last week's movie?
Hallowed
Ground.
Hallowed Ground.
That's a tough call.
Oh wow. Okay. I didn't think.
No, I don't think it was any better.
Oh, it certainly wasn't.
Not that
better.
it was any worse. But
I would have to say, as far as acting and film quality, it was better in those senses. It's corny, as the story was. It still had a plot. There was still something going on. This one, I didn't really know what the hell was going on. There was no point to any of it, Little squirrely dude gets picked on, and of course, like you said, they picked every cliche and made sure to show you every single one. tripped at school, dropped his tray. You know, it's like, oh my god.
Oh gosh.
Awkward
You know?
And
ladies.
Yeah.
and they did it. They did so much of the abuse and teasing and all that. It's like, we get the fucking point.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
He is a, we don't need to spend 30 minutes on it saying he's a tease at school. We get it,
Yeah, it went on way too long, and it was way
did.
too gruesome. I actually nearly turned the movie off at one point. I was just like, okay, this needs to change really soon, because I'm getting tired of just watching this poor kid get abused.
Yeah.
I admit I actually fast forward through that.
Yeah. Some of it was
like,
pretty
okay,
bad.
After a little bit, I'm like, I get the point.
Right, but the deal is, you fast forward 5 minutes and it's not over. And then
No.
you fast forward another 5 minutes and it's not over. And you
It's
fast forward
not.
another 5 minutes and it's not over. And the shit went on, like you said, 30, 40 minutes
At
of an
least.
85-minute movie.
Yeah.
It was
He
just
didn't start killing until, an hour into it?
Yeah.
And, besides the story at the beginning, I think there was a death scene there, but it was kind of like, come on, get to it quicker because you've lost. Kind of like something else I say. Get to it quicker because you've done lost me at this point. And then you're like,
Yeah, I mean, and
Did he
it's not even
die?
like they're setting up like an anti-hero.
yeah,
They're totally not.
no,
I mean, that's how they seem to be trying to make it look, but this guy's not an anti-hero.
no.
This guy's a monster.
It was a bad version of a Lloyd Kaufman movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they were ripping off a Troma movie, and boy, that's shaky
I
ground.
thought the guy, Haley, the farmer, did he not remind you guys of Stephen King in Creepshow where he's space shit?
Jordy Verrill, you lunkhead. Oh, yeah.
I mean, and then
Ripped
he started
straight
that,
out of, as in.
back in 1949, we did have some naked women and sacrifices. It may be haunted, guys. It's like, really, dude? I mean, come on.
Again, yet another of the cliches this thing just ripped off. They just ripped off the bulletin board and stuck in the movie.
Yeah. And the cops show up and, everything's peachy keen. And they're like, are you sure? Are you telling us the truth? And he's like, well, I've got blood all in my cornfield. Is that normal?
You mean the
Sure
corn
it
farmer
is.
can't
It is.
tell us that? Come on.
Oh, my God.
It is the season, so.
Jeez.
They I don't know how they managed to land Richard Elfman for this movie. I don't know why he thought he needed to do this, but Jesus. Poor I felt bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, for some weird reason, it took me like 15 seconds to realize that was him. I mean, even though you don't see him much anywhere else. I mean, the only reason I knew who he was because I'm one of those lunatics that have watched like the DVD extras from Forbidden Zone. So
Dun, dun, dun.
it's the only reason I recognized his face. And I was like, man, that looks like Richard Elfman. And oh God, just the poor hapless sheriff cliche right out.
Oh, my God. With his dope sidekick, know.
Okay, I will admit I laughed when the dopey sidekick threw up.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Those kids.
Those
That's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
That is honestly the only good scene in this movie.
Finally, action.
Right.
There's a dead body. I'm like, it's cool. It was bleeding. I didn't do it. That's what always gets me in these movies. I guess nowadays, if you are found by a dead body, you're going to jail until they figure out your story. There's no sit here or how about the one where they left the girl in the half cut off shirt and everything else? Your daddy will be here soon. Just stay here. We got another call to go on. There's a guy slaughtering people right now, and you're going to leave a half-naked chick on the side of the road.
Right. Does the shirt say victim? Because that would be the only way this is more obvious.
Right. Well, most of the time in these films, it does. Yeah, and then some of his victims, I didn't get the connection of what they did to him.
Well,
Like,
you know why?
He went on a rampage and you
Yeah.
had no background for that person.
mhm.
I thought, now why the hell?
But if
Why
everybody in the
why
town,
did you kill the farmer?
Yeah. Or the guy that went out to the cemetery all the time.
Yeah.
You know, why was he killed?
the deal is they spent 30 or 40 minutes setting up that literally everybody in this town picked on this guy.
Yeah.
Everybody in the town. There were no innocent. That's the thing that makes this even harder to watch, is that there are no victims and there are no innocent victims in this movie. Not a
Yeah.
one. The only one that even comes close is what's her face?
Judy.
The chick, Judy. Yeah, she's the closest thing to an innocent victim in this. And she walked away, sort of.
Yeah.
Boy, wait till we get to the ending. God.
Jesus. I mean, so what? She almost dies and she becomes permanently high? Hello, where do I sign up?
Yeah, I mean, she did say something about medication.
Oh,
So
true,
clearly
true.
they've just got her so hopped up on something that she doesn't care anymore, and she's just making art now. Wherever the hell she was, I don't know what that was all about.
How could they even call what that kid was making was art? Oh, he's so talented. No, he wasn't. He wasn't. That was bad. It
Well,
was,
nobody ever told him he was talented, so
yeah,
at least
true.
not
Well, his
until they
mama
were.
did. His mama sure did.
Oh yeah, and she had such a
Only
Remember,
when,
let's
way to
just
pick
look
men
at this little
anyway.
bird right here that he drew and flowers. So, and I understand his mom's an alcoholic and likes getting it on with strangers
anyone,
and that kind of
right?
thing. But did that make her worthy of dying? Well, I guess he was killed in front of her and she didn't do anything, so maybe so.
And she was not particularly nice to him either.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, true.
Nobody
I
was.
just didn't see her like hitting them or something, you know.
Emotional abuse is not always
That is true.
so obvious, but
That's usually what you hear all the time instead of feel all the time. So. But yeah.
I mean, bringing every dude in town back to the trailer to bang them noisily in the back of the trailer where there's absolutely no sound buffering whatsoever.
Well, she
That's
asked
not
him
great
In
for
the
a kid.
kid's room.
That's not great for a teenager psyche. I'm just saying.
like, listen, in the kid's room.
Yeah. Well, it was the room basically. That particular brand of travel trailer is not known for its spacious and numerous bedrooms.
Yep. Soundboards.
Or sound muffling, right. Insulation was not really a thing. Just
Yep.
saying.
And at first I thought the music would be good, and it was like, no.
No,
It's
it was
not.
I was trying to be optimistic about the music, but good lord.
Yeah. This is the music you find on those free sites with royalty-free music. There it is. They made a movie with it.
Speaking of music, did anybody else notice how abruptly the music ended with the opening credits? It's just like, oh, it's almost like you know,
Yeah.
you need to put in another dime to let the rest of the song play on. It's like, what the fuck?
You gotta pay for the extra.
Right, we got to cut this off, man. If we do 3 more seconds, then we're going to have to pay full price for this shit.
Right. At first, I thought I was like, okay, am I having problems with my audio? And then all of a sudden, the movie went on, and I started hearing stuff. I was like, no, they deliberately cut
They did that.
the song off. What?
And it's
the actual
weird.
It was
fuck?
not the only time in the movie they did
Because
that either.
That
True,
pause that
true.
they had between when it started back up again, you should have been able to at least hear the car. Instead, it was just dead silent. So that was kind of, I was with you. It was like, damn it, did I turn my speakers off?
Right. I don't know where you would get that idea from. Jeez.
Really?
So yeah, that got me too. And I thought that the intro was like a total ripoff of Edward Scissorhands. It was like, really? Really? Just all this stuff, flying and going this way and that way. It was like, yeah, They're trying to
obviously
be like
CG
Edward
stuff.
Scissorhands.
Oh my god. I mean, I realize it was 2002 and this was an extraordinarily low budget movie, but
Yeah.
Jesus. I swear they spent nearly every penny of their special effects budget on the mask.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the mask wasn't that bad. I mean, it wasn't great.
It didn't look like a scarecrow mask either.
Out of all of the Scarecrow movies we've seen, though, I think this one came closer to the Scarecrow vibe, you know?
That's because it was, like I said, it was very nicely done.
Yeah.
And it was very stylized, and it was, almost as if they were planning a franchise out of this, which, God, I don't know how that was supposed. I don't know where that. Don't laugh. There were 3 of these bastards.
Mm.
But anyway, yeah. So I think they spent the money on it now, knowing they were going to reuse it.
This reminds me of like a college film that you would make for your exit.
Yeah, your final exam for film school.
Yeah,
Right.
You have all the bad acting people who are about to graduate too, and have them in your film, and it just a step up from Blair Witch, because pretty bad quality.
I thought Blair Witch was better.
I'm talking
by far.
film quality.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Well,
with
Like,
Blair Witch,
I
it was
should
on
have
purpose.
said, like, found footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Blair Witch, it was intentional. For this, it
Yeah.
was not.
It was not. Yeah. Unfortunate accident.
What were you going to say, Les?
What was the point you two were contending before? Something about.
Mask?
The Mask?
I'm sorry?
The Mask?
The Mask. Thank you. Yes. Okay, let me tell you. That mask changed every time it was shown on screen. It was a burlap sack. It was a plastic mask. It was a rubber mask. It was burlap again, and it finished with rubber.
Now, see,
Every
I
time
had
they
thought...
showed it, it was a different mask.
Come on now, Les. Are you really going to tell us that a movie that with this high a budget and this high of special effects
would have more
budget
than one mask?
is going to screw around and not have the same mask be perfect every time? Come on, man.
Even with a cast of greatness like this. No,
I didn't pick up on that, but I did pick up on at one point his face was different. They had, like, sewn his eyes shut and his mouth, and I didn't remember that previously. So now that you say that, that would make sense why that would
Yeah,
kinda
it looked to me like they
catch my
had
attention.
the one mask that they spent a bunch of money on, and then they made a bunch of backup masks that they kept using
that
when they
didn't
were
want
filming.
to tear.
Right, when they didn't want to
Tossing
fuck
out
up
there.
the good mask. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was pretty.
close-ups, we use this mask, guys.
Right, we're gonna spend a bunch of money on this one really cool looking mask, and then
Yeah.
we're gonna have just our regular crew make a bunch of copies of it with whatever lack of skill they have,
Yeah.
and use them all, and just mix them in as
And
we
when
need
we
to.
set them on fire, it's the burlap.
Right, use the crappy ones when we set them on fire.
So if you go into Halloween dressed as this scarecrow, be sure to get multiple masks,
And change them out.
and
regularly.
you'll be able to survive.
Yep.
And make it flame retardant.
Oh yes, please.
Oh, I wouldn't say that this was a retarded movie, but
Oh.
damn close.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
Oh, man.
Send your hate mail to
Thank
Liz. Okay? She brought up this mask business.
Oh, it had to be
I
brought
have a
up.
feeling next week I'll be going, he said retardant.
Oh dang, yeah. I don't know what to do with this movie. I really don't.
If
We
I
get
had
to
a
burn it.
sound of a toilet, I would use that right now.
We can give it to HBO to shelve.
Yeah, there we go. They're shelving
Never
everything
see the
else.
light of
Why
day
not? Oh
again.
no! See, the problem is the stuff they're not shelving. You'd be afraid to hand them a movie like this. Oh yeah, we can't shelve that. It's fucking gold.
It
No.
needs a sequel
Mm.
and a
Or
prequel.
two.
All right,
Yeah.
where's Scarecrow
Whole
4?
trilogy. Let's get Disney involved. We can give them Disney eyes.
Or they just do a really bad remake of The Wizard of Oz and use the mask from this movie as Scarecrow's mask.
So I'd be pissed.
That would be unbelievable. That would be awesome.
Let's see him do the mask from Friday the 13th instead.
Oh man. I would hate to see how
One's
they
on one eye hole. Yeah.
Yeah. The buttonhole or button for the other hole.
Yeah, you have to have a button, otherwise it's not because we. Well, never mind. Yeah, people that will have been out by now. So yeah,
Yeah.
the button thing.
So I think they're all missing the point.
Which is
None of these people know how to handle a scarecrow. I feel bad that this topic was introduced because of my obsession with scarecrows, but I still feel like they have not tapped into that. To me, scarecrows are kind of like clowns. They just freak you out. You know, they're just creepy and gross, and they're supposed to be cute, and they're not. They're dirty, you know, and they haven't really. I don't know.
So what I'm hearing in what you're not saying or trying to say and not really getting words out is what you want is a Scarecrow movie that's not a slasher movie.
It could be a
You
slasher
want a little more
movie.
psychological horror.
Yes. And I think that when you put a burlap sack over somebody's face, that should introduce that effect into your films, because you're automatically, it's an unknown. It can be anything. That could be a freaking clown underneath there. But it's the part that you don't know that keeps you kind of, you know.
in suspense.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I hate to keep tapping into Batman's Scarecrow, but like I said, he's
Sure you do.
one of the better examples of what they've done with the Scarecrow, you know, that doesn't include corn or solstice or some kind of weird rituals, you know. And
Right. Well, a lot of what he is doesn't necessarily have anything to do with scarecrows.
yeah,
The deal is
Nothing.
they took a great character and they dressed him up like a scarecrow.
yep,
And that's a big difference from what we're seeing in these movies.
yes. I think the best thing that I have ever seen with Scarecrow done was in a video game. And I'm wanting to say it was a cutscene in, I'm wanting to say Arkham Asylum. And Batman walks in and he's walking through a mansion. And when he first walks in, the first thing that happens is Scarecrow gets him with his fear toxin. And what better way to torture somebody than with their own fears? And so, of course, as they're doing this cutscene, Batman's walking through this mansion and it slowly turns into the alley. And you see his parents die. And you see, all of these flashes of his life. And at the end of all of these flashes, Batman himself is terrified. I mean, he has seen so much of what he fears thrown right in his face. And Scarecrow didn't even have to touch him.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, wow. To me, if I had a superpower or if I was a villain, that would be the superpower I would want. I would want to be able to take your worst twisted nightmare and make you live it. And that's what Scarecrow does. But not these Scarecrows that we've seen.
Okay, just for the record, you got plenty of your meds on hand, right?
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
just want to make sure. I don't want there to be
Then
any
that
lapses in the pills. I'm just saying.
Really.
The game goes further into it gets worse as it goes when he finally gets to the end and he sees that it's Scarecrow, and that's when he finally realizes, oh, duh. I've been sprayed by a fear toxin. And from there it gets corny. But that is what I've been wanting to see. Just somebody who just totally messes with you and hasn't laid a finger on you. They haven't hurt you. That's the Scarecrow.
Yes, psychological horror. That's what I said.
Yes, that's the Scarecrow.
Mhm.
But I'm sure YouTube has that cut scene around there if anybody ever wants to watch it. And I do believe it was Arkham. Was it Arkham? I'm wanting to say it was the second game in the series. I'm drawing a blank on what it was. So it's pretty good though.
Yep.
And
Having
at
played
the
those
end,
games, I agree.
you don't want Batman to figure out. You want to see where this is going. Not that we like seeing our guy tortured, but you kind of want to see what is Batman.
You're actually kind of predisposed to want to see what scares Batman, because Batman's thing, depending on which Batman you're looking at, he's coming out of the dark. He's building
He is
himself
feared.
up as a thing to be feared.
Yeah.
What scares him?
Yep.
It's an interesting path to follow.
And I think Gotham got very, very close to giving us a very good Scarecrow, and then they got corny with it too. So it was kind of like, Scarecrow can be scary on his own. He doesn't need the Joker. He doesn't need the Riddler, the Penguin. He doesn't need anybody. He can be scary on his own. But here lately, when we see him like in comic books and stuff, he's always the sidekick. It's like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, screw that.
He's in the rogue gallery, man. He's not no sidekick, So, but yeah, that's what I was hoping to find in a good Scarecrow movie. Something like they did with him there,
We haven't found
and
that yet.
kind of what they did, because in Gotham they kind of tapped into that, and then they made him like a shady land dealer or something like that, and it was like, oh no.
Real
Spoiler.
estate.
Yeah.
It's all about real estate.
Yeah.
That's what they always
It's
did
like
with Lex
that.
Luthor, so why not, right?
Yeah.
Location, location, location.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're taking away from the fact that this Scarecrow movie
Mm-hmm.
deals with the property protector. To me, that's what a Scarecrow is.
Yeah.
I know there is a character, but the use of this idea of the protector of property is essential for this kind of movie.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's no reason to say Scarecrow in any way, shape, or form for a title in this movie.
Yeah. Because then if you didn't, people would be like, where's the corn?
Well, sure.
Or something. But yeah.
Yeah, this movie didn't have any of that.
No.
This was just a revenge flick.
And like I said, and not really even revenge. There
Kind
at
of a
the end, it
terribly
just
written
became
one.
purged.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
it was a revenge flick gone wrong.
Mm-hmm. Because they were setting you up to feel sorry for him. To where when he started doing all of this, you were like, well, yeah, he was picked on, and Rob Zombie explored this whole ideal guy.
There's an argument to be made that it didn't fucking work then either. But anyway.
But you know what I'm saying? That's the whole hour you built us up is to make us feel bad for this kid. And then, so like the football player that always picked on him, you were kind of like, yeah, okay, I could see throwing a prep in a pool, But then when you get to the other like dads and stuff,
Right,
it was
it
like
just doesn't stop.
Yeah, they didn't do anything.
It
And he
just-
always had that corny one-liner, "Hey, Daddy-O," or "Giving
Right.
me a headache," or it's like
Right, straight out of later Freddy Krueger movies.
Yeah.
The ones where they stopped caring.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I was about to say, well, Freddy did it better, but there at the end,
He
no.
really wasn't doing it better,
He
right?
didn't.
He didn't do it at the beginning, and he was doing it really badly at the end, and yeah.
Yeah.
So
So it's like they tried to take pieces from all these good horror movies, and it just didn't work.
Nope.
The deaths were stupid. You know, he rips a guy's heart out of his chest, but then when they show him again, there's no hole. What?
Holes are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And don't show his chest again.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about.
Easy. Cut 2 seconds out of your film. Or they could have just showed the face. But, yeah, like I said, some of it was just kind of like, and the shovel where he shoved it down into that guy's throat. For one thing, you're not going to be able to scream anymore because your vocal cords. But, you know, you could see where they cut the hole out of the shovel to fit on that guy's neck, you know?
Yep.
And it was just like, oh.
He was also breathing.
Yes.
As he panned away from him, he's still breathing. And you're going, okay, nice job.
Yeah. And they must have spent a ton on fake blood, and they should have gotten a better quality than what they did. Because that stuff was thin. Like when it sprayed the lights, you could see right through it, and it looked like Kool-Aid, you know? And it was like, that's... Did you kill the
Probably
Kool-Aid
what it was.
man? Or you know, did you just put a piece of corn in that guy's ear?
Yeah, that was another fun one, the ear of corn. Literally.
Yeah. He got an ear. And the feathers at the end of his fingers. What the hell was that? What scarecrow has feathers at the end of his fingers?
God, I don't want to know.
A special kind.
Yeah.
Awful one. That's what kind.
And I know it's sad, and my NSA guy is probably going to love me for this, but I was really hoping he would kill those 2 kids. When they were talking about, yeah, let's go find a cat to abuse, it was like, kill them. Kill them now.
Right, save
For
the
my
kitty.
sake.
And apparently, according to the farmer, they had killed several animals and put them in his field. So those little kids deserve to die. They're going to be the next Dahmer and Gacy, you know.
Wow.
Which is what I thought they were setting us up for, is to kill them, but they didn't.
Oh no, they were setting them up for they're like the Jay and Silent Bob of this franchise.
Yeah.
Set them up for the sequel is what they should have done. Those 2 little assholes as like in their mid-20s. With every
They're
animal
killing-
they ever killed coming back to haunt them.
Reverse Pet Cemetery.
No one was near the age they were playing in this movie.
No kidding.
Not one of them.
No. I thought when they first showed Lester in his seat, when they panned in on him at school, it was like, it's a 40-year-old man. What? And then they see the classroom and stuff, they're like, they thought this in a hotel. But yeah, none of them. He looked older than his teacher.
True.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried not to show the back of him because when they panned back in the classroom, you could kind of see he had a bald spot there too. So it's kind of like, yeah, you could have got a younger guy, you know.
You know, if this was a film school film, like you said, maybe they couldn't. Maybe they just didn't have. Maybe it was just whoever showed up that day. I don't know.
True. Because I don't think it's memorized because they all sound red. Oh my! It's a scarecrow. Maybe we should run. Like, or the argument they had in the car, it was like, oh my god. You're not going to be that calm when you're telling a guy to go fuck himself, you know? So yeah, they acting. I think they worried more about bodies than the acting, though. Because all the girls look nice, guys look nice too.
Well, they spent half the movie dicking around with backstory. They had to get a body count, and they had to cram it all in at the end.
Oh, and they did.
When this movie started, I thought I was watching a travelogue. They kept showing downtown scenes. I'm going, I don't care.
Yep.
There's the comic book shop. Okay, so what? Let's keep going. Let's do something with the plot.
And like I said, every time in the movie when they were moving from one place to the other, they were using that same footage driving down the street. It's the same buildings, it's...
Mm-hmm.
Although I think they got fancy with it one time when he was going back to his house, and they shot it going the other way.
Yeah, they ran it backwards. And they
So it's
play with the
kinda like,
lighting
oh.
some occasionally. It would be darker sometimes and lighter sometimes. Yeah. I mean, they sort of tried, but not really.
Let's just say they didn't succeed.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you want to try, take a fucking camcorder out and walk down a different street for a change.
Yep. 'Cause scenery like that's free. You didn't have to shoot. Okay, give me 30 seconds and we'll just replay it.
Right.
And although, speaking of replaying, the guy that he killed with the shovel, they played that scene twice. They showed him, I know it's going to sound crazy, but he kind of turns his head and he gasps blood. And then he turns his head back, and then you see it again. His head's at the other side again. You don't see him turn it, but it's jerked back to the side, and you see him come up again and do the same thing. It was like, why did they have to show that to us twice?
That's
It
a
wasn't
good, that's a
even
good
good.
little, that's a good clip. Use it again.
Or the heart they had to get a close up of, and it's like, yeah, that's a cow's heart.
They
What the hell was
didn't
he
have
doing
enough
with the
film.
cow's heart?
It's what they could get. I mean, come on. You go to the
Yeah.
grocery store and get one of those. So throw a little
Cover
fake
it.
blood on it. It looks great.
Yeah, cover it in Kool-Aid
It's
or Jell-O.
It's significantly larger than a human heart, but nobody will notice. He'll be squeezing it. It won't matter.
Yep. We'll only show the front half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a lot wrong with this.
Mm.
Like I said, it's hard to say there was a good thing about this film. Credits?
They
We're
weren't even
done.
all
We're
that
done
good.
with it.
Yeah, we're done.
That's a good thing about the film. We're done with it.
Right, it's over. It did end. That was a good thing. Man.
And on that note, I think we're going to take a quick break and come back with Geek News for You. And we're back. It's time for Geek News for You. In this segment, we come up with a couple news items to bring to the table for discussion. This week, it's Liz and myself, and of course, if you're a long-time listener, if it's a news item from Liz, it's going to be supernatural related. So go ahead, Liz.
Almost supernatural. Almost. If you've been living under a rock, or I haven't told you in at least the last couple of days.
Right. In other words, this is your first episode of our show. Welcome.
You're welcome.
What decade are we in?
The Winchesters is going to be premiering October 15th, which I believe is next
It will
Friday?
be before this episode drops, yes.
Yes. And,
Oh, wait, I say that.
is it the
The hell-
15th?
The hell day is it today? I don't even know.
Today's the 11th.
15th
On a
is the, actually,
Saturday?
Saturday.
is the day before
Really?
we drop this episode. So yeah, so it's out now. Go watch it, people.
Huh. Well, that's kind of weird. They would air it on a Saturday. But, anyways, they've kind of told us a little bit about what's going on, and I think I've broke that down pretty well. More than pretty well on the show. And they just announced to us that not only is Jensen going to be making appearances off and on, they are bringing back one of his old castmates. And I am not talking about Jared. I am talking about Tom Welling. Yay! From Smallville. If you guys remember, if I haven't told you lately, Jensen was on Smallville. I believe he played Jason, who was Lana's boyfriend.
Ooh.
And of course, he left Smallville to do Supernatural. So, hey, made a good step there. But instead of Tom Welling being his friend, he's actually going to be Jensen's grandfather in this, which I thought was excellent because they don't look alike, but Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Tom Welling could be brothers. Just that strong face, the scruff they both have going on now, you know. I think it was a good pairing to say that was his dad, you know. But I'm also excited because we didn't get a lot of Sam Campbell's story in Supernatural. We saw the results of the work that he did, but they never really went into what kind of person he was or, you know, just how, I mean, he made the Men of Letters, so we know he was into hunting, but we don't know how much he shared with John on that. So I'm a little bit more excited. At first, when they announced this project, it was kind of like, I don't know, because 15 years of my life, I've watched this and this story, and now they're going to try and tell me a different story. But I don't know. With announcing him, I'm pretty excited.
Maybe it'll be a good story too.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. And actually, I'm wrong. This is not John's father. Hang on.
Funny what happens when you read the words, huh?
I should have read this beforehand. Okay, it is John's father. I was thinking I saw that it was Mary's father there for a second. No, but it is John's father. And of course, like I said, he was the one who created the Men of Letters and everything else. So, I don't know. It should be interesting. Like I said, I am so happy that these two guys can work together again. In my opinion, both great actors. I haven't seen Tom Welling do a whole lot in Smallville. Maybe I've, a few TV shows here and there, but nothing like a regular on anything.
The Fog.
So, The Fog?
He did the remake of The Fog.
Was that a series or a movie?
No, it was a TV movie, or it was a movie.
Was it? Mm-hmm. I don't think I saw that then.
Don't.
Okay. But yeah, this I think he'll do pretty well. He's been in that TV series type format before, so we shall see. Although it just makes me feel really old that I used to watch him as a teenager and now he's playing a grandfather.
How old do you think it makes him feel? Jeez.
Oh my God, yeah. And then I'm not saying, I'm a little biased here, but you look at pictures, you look at pictures of Jensen from when he was on Smallville to now, and he has retained that baby face that he's always had, which always to me makes him look younger. So I don't know. Yeah, like I said, Saturday, unless this article is wrong, I could have sworn it was a weekday that this came out. Actually, I thought it was tonight, but I guess I was wrong. And Saturday, they're releasing this one. So if you watch
it, have programming for Saturday nights. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but usually the like good stuff they play during the week because people are busy on the weekends, So, I don't know.
This is the age of streaming. It doesn't matter when you drop
That
it.
is true, because I think it is going to the streaming service same day instead of like Hulu next day. Mm-hmm. So, should be, like I said, we'll see. Fingers crossed. I'll go in with a low bar, so.
Yep, try not to disappoint yourself.
Well, it's going to have Jensen. I'm disappointed.
Right. I'm just going to go into a bar.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. If it's bad, I'll just mute it and finish watching it that way.
There you go.
So, but if you watch it, let us know on Discord what you think. So, I'd love to hear it. Just don't make me fight you.
There we go.
Okay.
Follow that up, pal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I got something good here.
Okay.
if these producers have their way, we may have a series that is based off the sequel treatment written by Pierre. I knew I was gonna screw up his name. Pierre Boulle.
Oh, Pierre Boulle. Okay.
Yes. After the success of the original Planet of the Apes back in 1968, the producers then went to him to write a sequel. He wrote a treatment which they ultimately rejected, and went the course that the franchise did. Well, now that treatment has been purchased to be possibly turned into a series. And according to the article, the story took place 10 years after the events of the first film. Taylor had found other free men in the Forbidden Zone and basically started his own. They used the term kingdom. That seems a little off, but he basically taught them to speak and all that. Nova had a boy, so things are going that way in Forbidden Zone. Meanwhile, in Ape City, the apes are devolving, and the humans catch wind of this, and against Taylor's objections, attack Ape City and basically conquer, and essentially take over the world again. In the book, the story was called Planet of the Man.
Okay.
Hmm.
And like I said, this idea was rejected. Said it was too dark. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? The second sequel ended with the world being blown up. How is that lighter than this?
People like explosions.
Yeah.
This
Load up real good.
But this is kind of an interesting idea. I mean, it even talks about at the end. I'm going to quote this here real quick at the end. The final scene features a group of human children taunting a primitive orangutan. Finally, prodded by sugar cube treats, the simple-minded animal states his name is Zaius. Remember, Dr. Zaius was
Dr. Zaius.
He was basically the big bad guy in the first film. And according to this article, we would also see the death of Cornelius Zera, the nephew Lucius, and Taylor. So basically, all the characters we knew in the first film, except Nova, they never mention what happens to Nova, die off in this film. I mean, in this treatment. So, but the hope is of the couple of producers who've optioned this is to turn it into a streaming series, which will be interesting considering the characters are actually owned by 20th Century Fox. They're not the same characters from Boulle's book, and obviously the name is owned by 20th Century Fox, which is now owned by Disney.
Yay.
So we'll see how far this gets.
We'll see how far this gets. It probably won't get too far until they decide to make a deal with Disney.
Right.
Unless they want to change it up. You know, obviously they could use Planet of the Man as a title, although I'm sure Disney would fight that.
Right.
And change the name of the characters. But I mean, you know, who knows? We'll see. But this is an interesting story. I thought this was kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you.
I mean, the only problem would have been is that Heston wouldn't want to do it. He didn't want to do He didn't want to do Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Who did?
He eventually agreed to it under the condition that he wasn't in it that much. That's why we got James Franciscus as the lead. So basically, you have Charlton Heston at the beginning and then at the end. That's the story behind that.
I'd like to see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I find this story intriguing, and man, if they had gone this way, we wouldn't have the other films, unless they figured out a way how. Because I mean, if you remember from the original franchise, yeah, the Earth blew up, but somehow Cornelius Sierra and I think it was Dr. Milo, if I'm remembering correctly, somehow were able to fish Taylor's ship out of the ocean and got it functioning enough to where he can go back into the past. Yes, that's a little stretch, but I mean, come on. You're talking about talking humanoid, you're talking about talking apes. And so, I mean, if you accept that, can't you accept them piloting a ship and going into the past? I mean, yeah. How much more of a stretch is it? So, anyway, like I said, I would like to see this happen, but yeah, we'll see.
No breath being held.
No. Plus the fact that I'm surprised they actually went to Bull to write a treatment because, he didn't write the script. The script was, if I'm not mistaken, Michael Wilson. I believe that's correct. And obviously Rod Serling.
Yeah.
I mean, Serling. If you've seen the film, especially the ending, that's pure Serling right there.
Yes, it is.
Anyway. All right.
Good one.
Yep. That was.
Yeah, I was definitely intrigued with that one. Any special shout outs this week?
Nope, don't think so.
No.
Nothing here.
Yeah, I don't have anything. Go on to our regular shout outs. First, want to thank Pop Goes to Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be part of a great group of fellow podcasts. We recommend that you check them out. There will be a link in the show notes. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who make up Potter Family on Twitter that have been so kind as to spread the word of the fellowship by retweeting our links. The best way to do that is to go to Twitter and do a search, #PotterandFamily. That's all one word. And just scroll through. Whatever catches your eye, click on that link, and please download that episode, and we hope you have a good time listening to them. We also want to thank Manny the Murderer for supplying music to our podcast. There's going to be a link in the show notes where you can check out their music. Thank you guys as always. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We value your feedback. Any questions, comments, suggestions, complaints, observations, what have you, please send them our way. Email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Or you can go to the website, go to the About Us page, and there's a contact form that you can fill out there. If you join our Discord, we do have a channel specifically for feedback. You can post your thoughts there. Social media, Facebook, we are the Fellowship of the Geeks. We are now on Instagram @Fellowship Geeks. That also happens to be our Twitter handle. Follow us both places. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found at MikeyGeek. Liz can be found at LN_geek. Les may or may not be found at Fake Les Webster. And I can be found at TomTCGeek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you would take a couple additional moments to rate and review our show, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
All hate mail goes to Liz, okay?
He said retarded.
You see what I have to work with, people.
And you're damn lucky, buddy.
Yeah, you are.
Yes, I'm very special. I know. Thank you for listening, everybody. We appreciate the support as always. And until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,